Hello and welcome back to Kaiserreich. So I tallied up the votes in the comments from the last episode and did a sort of rough estimate because it's kind of hard to count the votes because technically I asked for which of these three choices we should pick, and some people I think also voted for what they wanted Finland to end up as, probably because I called the video Fate of Finland. My bad, but that makes it kind of hard. So I think for now though, it is very clear that people want I think the Lapua movement to take over Finland, but a lot of people think that we should pick the middle option because it will make things a lot more interesting, and it will also still keep the Lapua movement option open to us. So just in case I've been completely thoroughly baited by my comments, I'm going to make a save right here, and we'll see what happens. The Red Guard arrives and fights the Lapua movement. Let's turn down the speed in case things get very spicy here. Unione Sindicalista achieves Italian majority, sorry. Or Unione, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. The 5th Congress of the Socialist Republic of Italy has ended with the Unione Sindicalista, led by Palmiro Togliatti. Continuing his mandate by achieving a majority of seats in the government, the Unione Sindicalista have held control in the Republic since the end of the Weltkrieg, so it's like a continuation of the existing sort of order there. See, what was the... we had Travailleurs in France, and we had Federationists with Tom Mann. I've never seen Tom Mann in Britain before, I don't think. The famous first General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress has been appointed the chairman of the Trade Union Congress following the electoral gridlock. Mann, though a Leninist, has shown great historical commitment to the trade union movement and a dedicated spirit of civil service. Mann, in his old age, however, has indicated that he does not intend to stand for re-election. That is interesting. We're only on the third episode of Finland, so I'm going to keep it a little bit on weighted shuffle, maybe swap it over to shuffle halfway through the episode if we hear a lot of repeat songs. Spicy encirclements, we can't get a... we can't go without spicy encirclements in Russia. That happens every time. I saw a comment about... the Lapua movement and the Red Guard clash. With the Red Guard arriving and beginning to clash with the members of the Lapua movement, it seems as though the fight is not yet over. Despite managing to defeat the Jaegers, the White Guard have yet to face the Red Guard, who have begun to fiercely fight in the name of an independent yet socialist Finland. In addition, Field Marshal Carl Gustav Mannerheim has also made a plea to the White Guard to abandon the Lapua movement in favor of a more moderate and stable Finland, which will secure democracy. The issue of many competing factions, whether or not the Socialists will take power or if the White Guard will turn to support Mannerheim, is one of the great concerns of the Finnish people, who are anxiously waiting to see what may come of this turn of events. Well... so, here we have the Finnish People's Delegation, which is... excuse me, the Finnish People's Delegation, which is a socialist coalition. Syndicalism and totalism rises. Suomen Kansanvaltuuskunta. Kansanvaltuuskunta. I don't know. With Adolf Taimi as head of government, Ville Pessi as foreign minister, and Edward Gilling as economy minister. Dude, Finland's like naming situation is so crazy because of how like you have very traditional Finnish names and then you have like very Danish, Swedish, Norwegian names as well. Or the Lappo movement just straight up takes over, which gives us Bruno Salmiala as head of government. And Arne Sommersalu as foreign minister. Or Sommersalu. Or Mannerheim successfully rallies the White Guard, gets them to his side, and then they beat, you know, the Red Guard, and then the Lappo movement no longer has a military arm to protect them, like a paramilitary or whatever. Or Mannerheim fails to rally the White Guard. So interesting, there's two of these that gave us the Lappo movement. But one seems to be a more violent one. Remove national spirit, mounting dissent. Cancel military access with the Kingdom of Finland. A cancel non-aggression pact with the German Empire, and loses like government with German Empire. So this one doesn't have that. Either way, from the comments, reading them, it is clear that you guys want the Lappo movement. But I'm trying to figure out which one we're gonna pick, because both of them basically do the same thing, but I think one of them clearly immediately pulls us out of the German Empire, like out of the Reichspakt. Or sorry, we aren't even in the Reichspakt, but it immediately like pulls us out of, you know, what's happening here. But it seems strange because one of them, Mannerheim fails to rally the White Guard. That one clearly seems more like it's going to be a violent revolution, but somehow keeps the officer corps. While that one just, I guess, conducts the coup and then... I don't know, it's strange, because like those seem like the same option, but one of them just angers Germany for some reason. And one of them lowers the popularity of authoritarian democrat. Well, since we've already broken the golden rule, I'm just gonna make a quick save, Lapua 1 or 2. Save, and let's see. Let's, I think... I wish they had more flavor to them so that I could, like, understand which one, you know, I might want more. Because I'm obviously gonna go with whichever one I think is coolest or funniest or whatever, or most interesting. This one seems to do the most, so that one seems like it's gonna be the most interesting, but this one seems like it could involve more conflict in Finland itself. Because it implies that Mannerheim fails to rally the White Guard. The White Guard supports the Lapua movement, which, I mean, I assume they would do here too, and, you know, do their own thing. Oh, I think I know why. So, wait. Okay, so this one, okay, I think I understand what happened here. So, this event chain, I think, might be a little bit quirky because of the way it's designed, but basically we chose the middle option in the previous one, right? I think whichever one we chose, we would get some options, but we wouldn't get all of them. So here we would have gotten, I think, these two, for example. Or maybe these two, if we, like, so if we sent the Jaegers, I think we would get these two, maybe. And this one probably leads to something else, or I don't know. But if we didn't send the Jaegers, or if you, sorry, if we did the Red Guard thing, and the White Guard clash, then we have to choose between one of these two, or something like that. I don't quite know exactly how it works, but I think it's two, like, event results that then influence what happens in this event, in terms of options. So I'm going to just go with... oh, it's so hard. I'm gonna go with this one and see what happens. Okay, so now we are Finland. Okay, and then I'm going to load the save again. I'm going to try the other one and see what happens there. This is one of the kind of odd quirks with Kaiserreich's events. Like, they're all designed by different people, so you don't really know what the logic is like in terms of the design decisions they make. So, with this, it seems like the outcome is going to be the same, but also not. Okay, where's our diplomacy screen? Okay, so now we have non-aggression pact and military access to Finland here with Germany. But what has changed other than that? Nothing. Huh. Let's unpause and see what happens. The rebellion succeeds. Okay, so now we are no longer in... I think it's exactly the same result, because that grain thing there happens because we're no longer in an agreement with Germany, but these still remain. I think this might be kind of bugged. Seems that way, at least. It doesn't really make much sense for it to go down that way. Either way, we are the Lapua movement. I think the other one seems... This one feels a bit bugged. I'm going to load the other save just because the strangeness of the Ukrainian grain imports being cancelled because of, you know, no longer being on good terms with the Kaiserreich, and then also keeping the military access and all that makes it very iffy in my opinion. Makes it seem like something isn't quite right. Some flags aren't like triggering and stuff, so in terms of the scripting. So let's do the Lapua movement takes power and then continue down this path. Anti-parliamentarism. This is interesting now. So the reason I chose Lapua, other than the fact that you guys voted for it, is that some very convincing arguments were made, especially by one who suggested I do Mannerheim, but then also said that when you pick Mannerheim, you are actually locked out of the aggressive expansionism tree, which I didn't think you would be. So actually, no, we're not going to do. We're not going to do this one because another commenter said we should do the economic independence tree first, because then we can do purchase Russian grain, which we can't do if we're at war with Russia. So we're gonna like the second we break free from you know, Germany, from the German yoke, which really was not it wasn't like de jure part of the Reichspakt, but the nature of a German monarch and the whole like German officer staff in Finland, and all that means that we de facto were kind of like in the Reichspakt's sphere of influence in you know, Victoria II terms. Victoria II, in many ways, like the political, like the way the politics and all that are modeled in Victoria II, can very easily be applied to the world of Kaiserreich. And I think that's just the nature of the whole, like, you know, Germany won World War I thing, where a lot of the changes that were brought on by the way World War I ended were not brought on in this universe. So we kind of continue a lot of the traditions that were like entrenched in Europe before World War I, but also still embark into, you know, the new developments of this age. The Lapua movement purges the socialists and the monarchy. Following the victory and assumption of power by the Lapua movement alongside the loss of the national coalition, the Lapua movement have already begun imprisoning known monarchists, Jaeger troops and members of the Red Guard and Finnish People's Delegation. Already, with the support of a substantial part of the population, the new regime has begun to assert its power, warning all who dare to oppose the new delegation currently being taken by Finland, a new direction, rather, sorry, and imprisoning those who are deemed as traitors and those who resist. Whatever happens next, the future of Finland is one of uncertainty. We shall lead Finland to greatness. 150 plus political power, great. And a loss of stability, but you know, just cool things. Let's see here, we can swap over immediately to partial mobilization, which, hell yeah, dude. And then unpause again. A life in the trenches, very appropriate when the like World War I veteran paramilitary supported coup attempt happens. Very similar in many ways to what happens in Italy and Germany. So I was having a sip of water when I noticed another spicy encirclement in Russia. So I'll look at the rest of the world. Mongolia. Roman von Ungen-Sternberg, he's a fucking lunatic, dude. I kind of like how they've kept a little bit of the meme with him. He was kind of a wild person in real life as well. I don't know how much of this is true, but I like glanced at the Great War. If you haven't heard of it, Great War is an amazing YouTube channel which chronicles the entirety of World War I, week by week, while also making a lot of specials. And they had a special on Roman von Ungen-Sternberg, and their special, I mean, they call him the Mad Baron. And in the comments, someone did mention him getting like tossed out of the Cossacks for his like brutality, which oh, Wallonia has joined the Reichspakt. The Reichspakt or the Reichspakt? I need to be better at pronouncing that so it doesn't sound like the Reichspakt. Wallonia has joined the Reichspakt. Yeah, so the Mad Baron supposedly got tossed out of the Cossacks because of his brutality, which apparently the Cossacks were also kind of reputed for their brutality, so that, you know, tells you a little bit about him. The Netherlands has joined the Reichspakt. I'm sorry, I'll stop calling it the Reichspakt. Yeah, so he got tossed out of that, and he also, like here in the Kaiserreich universe, does bring a bunch of his, like, Asia or Asiatic cavalry corps over to Mongolia and, you know, basically take over during the Chinese Civil War. Poland elected a new king, excuse me. For almost 2 decades, the Polish throne has remained empty. After the end of the Weltkrieg, a regency council was convened to elect the new Polish king. Yup. As happens often. Oh, I've never seen you before. Who are you? The coronation of Augustine I was held in the palace at Warsaw early in the morning, and has been followed by parades and celebration throughout the nation. It remains to be seen whether the new king can navigate the small Polish nation through the coming storms. It's not that small. The regency is finally over, so who are you? He is a true Polish king. Huh. Interesting. I've never seen that one before, I think. I've only seen these three. And yes, we are going to do what another commenter suggested. We're going to build forts on the Russian border. I think we're going to build them on this border, because this is where their troops can come from. Mostly. They can have troops, obviously, in Murmansk, in the Kola Peninsula. But I don't think that is like the greatest threat. If they do, we have a lot of forests to retreat into. I think the principal concern is protecting the victory points and cities in these areas. Let's continue down these paths. Let's do grain from Russia so we can get our manpower up. Let's actually read what it says. With Ukrainian grain no longer a viable option, we must turn to our neighbor Russia, who possesses an abundance of grain. If we do not procure the grain, we face tough times and potential starvation. Yeah, I think our like general defensive strategy is going to be fortresses, defense in depth, and a lot of artillery, engineers, and also like using the forest and all that, and the lakes. The Finnish border is very awkward to defend on, because you have these lakes and stuff. Which luckily the AI isn't completely stupid with lakes now. It used to be kind of stupid with them before, I think. But yeah, we still have we have a wide border with Russia here to deal with. And it has all these like very thin and narrow pieces here. Which I think, honestly, if we are to defend here, we should build a fort there, if possible. We should build maybe forts here or just here. No, actually, we should build forts here. Yeah. Oh, then we have to build here as well. That's 4 tiles instead of 3, because I wanna have them next to rivers to give them a river crossing penalty, as well as give them, you know, the fort bonus. Here we have fortresses here already. Maybe build another fort over here. Yeah, but basically set up like defense in depth plans and stuff. And then for the navy, which I mean we have one for some reason, we'll have the submarines in one squadron, and then we'll have the destroyers basically just be a reserve, and the submarine squadron, which I believe I did split these guys up, but then we save scummed. But the submarine squadron is basically going to be the majority of our navy. We no longer suffer the effects from labor strikes. Nice. But yeah, so we're going to adopt kind of like the Soviet Cold War mentality, which I'm also doing in our Norway campaign, which is basically rely on submarines because we can't efficiently go one-to-one with any of the nations in the world right now with our navy. So what we do, however, is create a navy that can still achieve some sort of strategic gain. Because when you're playing Kaiserreich, or when you're playing, or not even just playing, when you're planning for war in real life, it all has to basically come down to what is the strategic plan and how do you achieve it. And on the oceans, the strategic thing you want to achieve is always to either starve your enemies' supplies, secure the oceans for you to cross them to invade their territory, or prevent them from doing the same. There generally is no other thing. Well, technically, in the area of carriers, you can also say, you know, use carriers or be able to move bases in order to bomb the enemy from the sea. But generally, there isn't much else you would really want the sea for. Later on, potentially for oil, I don't know. Then again, it's very easy to an oil platform is a very vulnerable thing. So generally, there are just those 3 things, I guess, to care about. Secure trade, and protect from invasion and invade. Indochina declares independence. Who would have thought? The Vietnam War, again. Under so I always forget how to pronounce that, but I think it's Wen An Nin. The industrial concern, we can get industrial research speed, military factory, and civilian factory construction. Yeah, we want fortress construction speed as well, but we're gonna go with Nokia for now for the industrial research and stuff. We are gaining a lot of political power. Let's have a look at the research. So yeah, we are doing a lot of research in the industry already. We're a while off from rifles, so we don't need the infantry equipment design company, but we are not a while off from tanks, though I don't ever think we'll need them. Possibly if we get a monstrous economy able to contend with Russia. This is going to be our next research, I think. Unless, no, this is not open to us, yeah. And these guys are going to be our next researchers as well, after the ahead of time penalty are gone. Or is gone. Should probably actually separate these guys more orderly, like so. The reason for that is that if they have a front line that extends past the lake here, they will try to move through all of these tiles here to try to like reinforce front lines and stuff. You generally want to have the front lines very congruent and or congruent and oh, purchase Russian grain. As we no longer hold the favor of the Germans following a rather abrupt withdrawal from the Reichspakt, it is clearly that is a small typo there. It is clear that we will need to find another nation to support our grain needs, so as to avoid the starvation of our populace. Seeing as the Russian Republic is our neighbor and possesses an abundance of grain, it is only natural that we should approach them to procure the grain we oh so desire. We shall hope for the best. I mean, they might have other things to think about right now, but so yeah, you want to have the front lines being fairly congruent because without it, yeah, you get those like messy, constant redeployments. The landowners hold great influence within Finland, especially with regards to the agricultural sector. By working with them, we can work towards the production of domestic grain while also advancing the Finnish agricultural sector. Yeah, let's do it. And for research, let us do interwar artillery. Still a little bit off from that. We might want anti-air because we're not going to have a lot of industry to really compete in the air. Anti-tank might be good against Russia, but I'm not quite sure how many tanks they build. It'll be good against Germany at least. But, I mean, who says we're going to be fighting them? Well, let's do the thing I said in the Norway campaign that I would do in my Finland campaign. Fuck, we can't. We need 100 political power. Yeah, so I want to send an attaché because they're at war, which will give us some army experience. We could also just wait for this shit to go tits up. You know, as America has a tendency to do. That was not intended to be in any way, shape, or form current events related. It's kind of sad that the Finnish tree doesn't actually have unique jet fighters. It does have one unique jet bomber. I really like how in Kaiserreich the tech trees have unique stuff for that, like the unique jet fighters and stuff. Like the German Empire had the Me-262 Schwalbe, which is also the jet fighter for Germany in vanilla Hearts of Iron 4, but it still, I think, is darkened out here, and it's so stupid that it is, because really, like, it existed, so you might... Oh no, the Russian Republic has declined. Horrible news has arrived from the Russian delegation. Apparently they have declined to supply us with the necessary grain, citing strained relations between our nations alongside domestic issues. Unfortunately, it seems that our population will have to endure for a certain time until we can find a way to offset the grain crisis, which we are working on. Manuel Carles assumes control of Argentina. Yeah, let us do fuel storage, I think. Because we'll need some for our submarines and our airplanes. And it's quite a quick research as well. I think we want to do superior firepower in this campaign as well. Not military police, we aren't occupying anything yet. We want special forces eventually. Otherwise, I don't see anything else that we really need. Like, we're not going to go through anything here in the capital ships tech tree. We're going to go through in... We're going to do stuff in the escort ships tech tree, but this is 320 days, and I don't want to spend that much on a snorkel, really. Simple air tube running from the engine room to the control tower. Extended, it allows the submarine to run its engines and charge its engines while still submerged. Yeah, this is quite a revolutionary technology. However, it does require you to be quite close to the surface. So, should there be a hydrophone or a, or God forbid, a sonar in the area, you're still fucked. But it is good against certain aircraft, especially in the early war, who detect you purely by just like flying over and, you know, looking out the window. Honestly, I might at some point someday play Silent Hunter on the channel. It's a U-boat like simulation experience. It's really cool. I've got a bunch of mods running on it, and it's fun to play. Let's see, we should make some submarines here and get this episode done with. Vettehinen class. It's actually quite decent, though it has a sonar. I don't... Oh, wait, oh! Huh? Oh, I didn't know that. So, oh, of course it has a sonar, because a submarine has to ping for, like, depth. To figure out the depth where you are. Of course it has a sonar. Yeah, it's gonna keep a sonar, because that makes sense. I mean, it also, submarines also do have a passive sonar, which you use to locate targets at distant ranges, because obviously you can hear ships through the water easier than you can see them at sea. So you can hear them from like very far away, especially if they're big. Let's just call this SS. Or put like the SS class thing. And let's produce it, because it's actually good. And yes, let us call the episode here. Let's look at the casualties of the Soviet Civil War. Or Russian Civil War, rather. The second Russian Civil War, the second RCW. 233,000 for the Russian Republic and 351,000 for the Soviet Russians. I want the Russian Republic to suffer more losses because I think at some point we will have a war. It will not be one that I will provoke on my own. A war with Russia will have to include the territories of Sweden and Finland, either by, you know, by voluntarily joining our alliance, or by being, you know, forced into it as our subject territories. And it will probably have to involve the Germans or the Japanese or, you know, Mongolia, something to basically distract a lot of the armies so that we can, you know, swoop in, take territory, and possibly peace out. But yeah, thank you for watching. You'll find very helpful information and stuff in the comments. Well, you will often find helpful information in the comments, but also the description, where you'll find my Twitter, Patreon, all that bullshit. Check the Twitter if you ever see that a video is missing, which might happen now because we're closing towards the end of the exam times for university, and I do have deadlines, so sometimes I might not be able to make a video. I'll try to get them out, like get a backlog running. But yeah, do check the Twitter every now and then if you feel so inclined. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.